So first up to the stage, could we have Jackaby Barsby? Okay, and Ryan Brock. Joel Chiang. Amy Gilchrist. Jack McDonnell. Claire Morris. Matt O'Riordan. And Vanessa Spencer. Okay. The order in which you'll be giving your speeches will be Joel first, then Claire, Amy, Jackaby, Matt, Jack, and then Ryan. And please, when you're talking on the microphone, if you could get quite close and speak loud and clear so everyone can hear you. And you'll get a 10-second warning from Francis. He'll hold up his book. And then when you've reached your time, he'll say time and you have to stop. Okay, so yeah, please welcome Joel.
Right, hello everyone. Joe Chang, running for Vice President Activities. I've got 3 policies: more transparency, more accessibility, and more employability. In terms of more transparency, I understand that students, like, this is what I've heard from students, basically, they keep complaining about how they haven't got the time to check about the massive inbox that they've got, all the emails that they haven't got the time to read. So that doesn't matter. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make use of the student media, Inquirer, CSR, FM, etc., just to make sure that students know what's happening at the University of Kent. In terms of more employability, I'll work for Kent Union and University of Kent just to improve KSCV and EP point scheme respectively, just to make sure that all of your activities that you participate in will actually, your employees will basically get to know that the activities that you participate in, essentially. In terms of more accessibility, I understand that finance is going to be a big issue when you want to participate in activities. Like, for example, on behalf of the Kent Debating Society, I went to Cardiff, traveled for 70 quid, I got reimbursed for 35 quid only. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to work closely with the Kent RAC, if they allow me, to essentially come up with a branch that raises funds for a piggy bank, and I'm going to use this piggy bank to reimburse all the costs of your societies. And I'm also going to use this piggy bank to... All right, work for me. Thank you.
Okay, and next up we have Claire.
Am I good to go? Hello, I'm Claire Morris and I'm running for VP of Activities. To find my full manifesto, type into Facebook, Claire Morris, pick me maybe, and you'll have lots of surprises on that site on my campaign. My main points are getting interim summer elections for societies, more workshops and training available, and more space at a new student activity centre. But for the rest of my speech... Don't forget it's your coat. Don't take any of the bull. Just make sure you don't become Dawn. Just vote for what you want. I really hope that is me, because this is my plea to make my place as VP of Activities. So here's my campaign, my main step of rampage. Raise support for presidents. There's no need to be hesitant. Hey, you don't know me, but I'm good at promise. So raise my numbers, VP maybe. It's hard to choose for these tough places. So raise my numbers, pick me maybe.
Okay, next up we have Amy.
I can't sing that quite that good. But hello, my name's Amy. You may have seen my campaign video, which is pretty much Trigger Happy Campus, which is me walking around with a big cardboard photo. Hello! Yeah, I'm in the social area, which is probably one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. But this is, for me, I'm a candidate for VP Activities, but I feel I've got something extra to add other than, okay, yeah, everyone talks about funding, Everyone talks about more space, but I'm going to do that. But I've also got some new ideas. For example, uni times. Have you guys ever had a time out London before? Yeah, so think about that for campus. So, okay, what's on Tuesday night? We could go for open night here, open mic night even, or sumo wrestling down the road, whatever takes your fancy, but it'll all be in one place, so it'll be really simple. The other is Club Kent. So everyone's heard of Team Kent, but we want to feisty it up with the team spirit and, get societies involved as well, because you do a great job and you deserve recognition. So yeah, don't be silly, vote for Gilly. Thank you very much.
Okay, next up is Jackaby.
Right. So what do you want? This student union is meant to support its students by listening to our opinions and not dictating what it believes is beneficial to us. I'm passionate and dedicated to a change you can see and promise to listen to every student and make sure their voice is heard. So what do you want? Do you want more availability of first aid training to allow for more opportunities of socials and events? Do you want more secure and efficient society storage space so you know your society's equipment is secure and to allow more groups to use the space? Do you want a reform of Refreshers Fair, making it earlier in the term and on one day again so that all societies and clubs can promote their society in the second term? Do you want dedicated office hours where I'll be completely available for drop-in sessions to help with any problems or queries you may have? Do you want more postgraduate social space? Because Wolf is already regarded as a college, but it still doesn't have its own bar like other colleges. Do you want more campus-wide events to promote a greater sense of community on campus? Do you want a candidate that has been vice president of an award-winning society and has been involved in many other aspects of the union? If this is what you want, vote Jackaby Barsby, Vice President Activities, or as I like to say, Jacktivities.
Okay, next up we have Matt.
Hi guys, I'm Matt O'Riordan and I'll be running for Vice President of Activities. My campaign is kind of based around making activities matter. I really feel that activities takes a backbench in the eyes of university and to some degree the union as well. I was in a meeting last night and someone said to me, activities should be at the heart of what Kent Union is all about, and that really struck a chord with me personally, and I really think it's something that we should be working towards. A lot of my manifesto points really focus upon building the provisions around activities. We need more staff, we do need more funding, we need more space, we need more storage. And it's a great win, the Student Media Centre that's going to be developed above the attic, that's absolutely fantastic. But we need that. Well done guys, for everyone involved. But we really need that brought out across all of our groups, societies, volunteering, RAG, student media, SLVGs, you name it. Basically, when I think about why you should vote me as your candidate, I have 2 years on union council experience, 2 years in Societies Federation Committee, 2 years your union zone, a year on Volcom, and a year as a successful society president. I've worked really hard in my time here at uni to develop and change the face of activities here at the union. So I hope that if you elect me, I'll carry on being able to make these changes happen. Cheers, thank you.
Okay, and now Jack.
Good evening, everyone. Unfortunately, I don't have the same singing voice as Claire does. But as an active volunteer, I'm well aware of the most pressing issues that volunteer groups face here. My manifesto covers 6 areas: accessibility, finance, marketing, international students, postgraduate students, and Medway. Points within each category address issues that I feel are most pressing to activities at Kent. They include introducing a member of staff for RAG support, introducing an online booking system for everything activities related, and increasing funding for societies. These points are just the tip of the iceberg, but my full manifesto details plans I have for activities across the union. But what sets me apart from other candidates? I could go on about the awards I've won and the number of hours I've logged, but I'd rather show you that in my years at Kent, I've worked on both campuses, and through this time I've experienced how the democracy and representation are run at Canterbury and Medway, giving me a balanced perspective. These experiences, my natural optimism, and being a firm believer of there always being a solution to problems, leads me to believe that I am the candidate to take Kent Union activities on the next step towards reaching its full potential. Jack McDonald, Vice President Activities. Thank you very much.
And our final speech will be delivered by Ryan.
Hi guys, I'm Ryan Brock. I'm running for VP Activities. I've been really involved with the student union since my first year, and particularly currently I'm the Kentshire Treasurer and also the Keynes College Student Committee President. I've got a lot of experience being involved in student groups, and for me, I'm really passionate about changing student activities. It's a really often overlooked area of the student union, and I think the union, but also the university especially, needs to take this more seriously. So, I will not stop lobbying the university until we get more funding from them, more staff, and more facilities. But this will always be an ongoing process, and any candidate can promise you this. What I also think we need to do is continue this, but also look into making new amendments to student activities as well. For example, we need to drastically change the way in which we train our society and SLVG committees, particularly in areas such as fundraising, event planning, and budget managing, so that they can support themselves. I'd also like to unify and rebrand all areas of student activities into a single body called Kent Activities, where I'll be able to get joint sponsorship for all student groups, so that would be societies, SLVGs, RAG, and student media and volunteering as well, and then I'll form a committee of representatives from each group. I really believe that I am the candidate who can really deliver here. I've been a college president, a union councillor, and I've been on 4 committees. I've got a lot of experience, but also some new and creative manifesto points. Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to questions for the candidates. Each candidate will answer each question. You have a minute for your answer. When you have 10 seconds left of your minute, Francis will hold up his book to give you a warning. Okay, the first question is, what will you do to support the student volunteers of Kent Union? And we'll start with Ryan.
One of my manifesto points was to set up an open employability and volunteering forum. That would be for all our volunteers at Kent Union, anyone from course reps to volunteers to the community, to people on RAG, anyone. And that would be to take their feedback on any problems that they've got, and also to promote any volunteer projects that we've got as well. It'd also be really useful to get student feedback on standout training sessions and help them get involved in stuff like that. I really think that this is a valuable way to start communicating with our volunteers and get them feeding back to us.
Okay, and we'll move on to Jackaby.
Okay, so I want to lobby for a new member of staff that will oversee volunteering and fundraising in Kent. They will not oversee just RAG, but all student volunteering. So if there's any problems that arise, like with venue or something which has happened this year with RAG, they will be there to support them support all students as it happens. As this is not realistic in the first year, in my opinion, I would be available in my dedicated office hours that I promised to have, where you will be able to drop in and just talk to me about any problems you have. I also want to look into more availability of first aid training, because there was a student committee fun run that couldn't happen this year due to the lack of first aiders available, and I think that really needs to be worked on so people can fundraise and be supported more.
Okay, and we'll move on to Amy.
Okay, I want to have more local ties to the community, so just so people just get some more volunteering opportunities open, and make it clear when they are. Okay, be like, bang, okay, look, this maybe tie in with my manifesto point, the Uni Times. It'll all come up, be like, okay, I want to volunteer here, and I can do it, and it could be really simple, and then you can just log your hours, and it'd be, yeah, good. Thank you.
Okay, and Jack?
My manifesto on the whole, I believe, has students first. But apart from specifically arranging for a RAG coordinator to come in to deal specifically with RAG issues, I mean, my number one priority is to be there for students personally. But I mean, my manifesto also deals, one of the key areas that I mentioned earlier in my speech was international students and postgraduate students. International students specifically to deal with helping them in the application of their visa and the process that takes, and assisting them in getting engaged in the university and getting the most of their student experience, as well as engaging in part-time work opportunities for them too.
Okay, and Matt?
Sorry, could you repeat the question as well, please?
Yes. What will you do to support the student volunteers of Kent Union?
We do actually currently have 2 members of volunteering staff, and they are fantastic. The problem with volunteering staff at the moment is that they're so it's understaffed. And my first priority manifesto point was to ask for more staff. A lot of people might think, how realistic is that? When the university gets their block budget, when the union gets their block grant from the union, they'll have an additional £300,000 this year. What we need to make sure is that the right person in activities is there to make sure that that money is put towards staff members, because that's where it needs to be used and utilised. Part of my manifesto as well involves working on one-on-one developments with SLVGs, which are quite a small section of volunteering, but mainly it would be the support of volunteers needs to come from staff and all of the sabbatical officers, to be honest.
Okay, and Joel?
Right. I've spoken to a few student groups, and one of the main concerns is that basically when it comes to booking rooms and like locations for their events, they find it like quite difficult to get their locations and events in terms of booking. So I'm here to basically represent them on that. And other than that, for their volunteering activities, I would basically make sure that their potential employers get to recognize their schemes, the employability point schemes that they basically, where basically the activities that they participate in are the employers basically get to know that, essentially, and that's it, actually.
Okay, and Claire?
Well, one of my main manifesto points is about workshops and training being more available, and I believe that this will help with volunteering, because a lot of people that I've spoken to, they want to get into volunteering, but they don't really know how, and that if they go into it, then they're a bit nervous about what would actually be happening, what they'd have to do. If you have workshops with people that are already doing volunteering, so they're to give advice and talks just about what they've done, how they got onto it, and just to put people's mind at ease, I believe that will really boost the student volunteering here at Kent Union.
Okay, and we'll now move on to the second question, which is, do you think a tiered quality mark system is fair for all societies, or should we treat all equally? And we will start with Matt.
Yeah, this is basically something that Suffolk Com have been working upon, and you know, the standard level of the tier is pretty much what you'd have to do to be a society. So fill in the correct budget forms, make sure that you're inclusive. It's very basic stuff. What it was kind of thought of is that when we were talking about additional training in terms of fundraising, event management, that would be the upper higher tier, and you know, we are providing that support therefore to societies, and so it's a really good way of trying to increase their training. So I think it's a really positive thing that's coming out actually at the moment.
Okay, and Claire?
I believe that when it comes to societies, everything should be equal. I think that every student should have equal opportunities, no matter what society they're a part of. I understand that some may need more funding, and then fair enough, they should be able to do fundraising and aspects like that. But my main point is that all societies and all students should be treated equally.
Okay, and Jackaby?
Yeah, I would agree with Claire. I believe that all student groups and societies should be treated equally. Some would need more funding, but that would be something that I would have to look into if I was elected.
Okay, and Joel?
Well, I think this is an issue of whether it depends. I mean, it depends on whether what the students want. Essentially, if the students want A, we do A. If the students want B, we do B. Otherwise, I would just focus on more equality for the sake of more accessibility.
Okay, and Amy?
I think the tier system is a good idea because there's always going to be societies that are a lot bigger than others. And I'm not saying that small societies shouldn't be included because they should, but obviously the whole fun of having funding is that you can think of creative ways to like handle that money well, and yeah, and that's the sparkle.
Okay, and Ryan?
I think when it comes down to funding, obviously there are going to be societies which have a lot more of a need for more funding. But having said that, I do think all societies should be treated equally. And we have got a development fund which, for societies, when they do come to need extra money, they can apply for that. I think that all societies should be given the same training, the same benefits as each other.
Okay, and Jack?
Can you repeat the question again, please, Tim?
Yes, it is. Do you think a tiered quality mark system is fair for all societies, or should we treat all equally?
I'm all for treating societies equally, absolutely, and societies and volunteers are all equals in my opinion. But I feel the tier system is necessary for those societies that do need it most to gain access to that, as well as the development fund. But equality is number one in my mind, yeah.
Okay, and now moving on to our third and final question for our activities candidates. If increasing staff support is one of the biggest priorities for activities and money is limited, is there a valid argument that funding should be put into this over an elected officer? So should we use the money for a staff member rather than an elected officer? And we will start with Amy.
What do you mean by elected officer?
So a vice president
either,
activities.
Oh, right, us. So us or an actual staff member.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Can you repeat it one more time,
Yes.
please? Sorry.
If increasing staff support is one of the biggest priorities for activities and money is limited, is there a valid argument that funding should be put into this over an elected officer?
Well, I think it's technically the same thing, isn't it? So a staff member and a VP, we are staff. I'm asking you that question again, sorry.
I can't really answer your question.
I think, well, as VP activities, it's your job to, everyone's going to have a set budget, even when you're in life, when you think about business, you're going to have to stick to that budget and be creative about it. So, yeah, sorry. My time's over.
Okay, and we'll move on to Joel.
Well, to put it quite bluntly, I think the sabbatical officers are here to represent the students' views, not to earn money.
Okay. And this isn't my question, by the way.
Well, I'm answering the question, though.
And we'll move on to Matt.
That's a really loaded question, isn't it? Elected officers are there for student representation. Staff are there to deal with the more administrative duties. There's no reason why both shouldn't be a priority. Like I said, staff, I'm the only candidate to mention dedicated activity staff as a tool, let alone as my first manifesto point. The funding can be found there. Like I said, we're getting an additional £300,000 from university this year, and you need the right candidate being elected for this job to make sure that that money does get put into activities rather than anything other that isn't as useful. That didn't come out right, but yeah.
Okay, and Ryan?
Well, I would say that pretty much the whole basis of a student union is it's sort of student-led. So I think if you're getting rid of an elected officer, you're kind of, well, you are taking away that aspect pretty much. So I'd say that obviously the elected officer should stay, but obviously staff is really important as well. And I agree with Matt, we can definitely get that. I think it's a matter of lobbying the university to give us that funding for that and then getting that staff.
Okay, and Jackaby?
Yeah, it's a difficult question, but it needs to be looked at for the benefit of students, not for, obviously the staff are overworked, in my opinion, and they need to be alleviated a little bit. But at the same time, this union works for students and looks after us. So if this elected member is more beneficial to us, I think that's the way of going, but it would need to be looked into.
Okay, and Jack?
Belter of a question, first of all. Yeah, it got me thinking. But I mean, it goes back to looking at the 600 staff within Kent Union currently and the 5 elected officers. Both are, I believe, just as important for different reasons. And there's an extent to those reasons, there's quite a lot. But mainly the 5 elected officers, as has been mentioned, are there for representation, and the staff are overworked, and we could do with more of those. So I would say staff.
Okay, and Claire?
It's a very valid point, and the question is very loaded. But I think the point of having the elected officers is that they're students. So students are more likely to actually talk to them about the representation, and then they can bring the students' views. I mean, that's the whole point of having these elections, isn't it? And although we have a lot of staff that work really hard, maybe some of the elected officers can actually take on some more of the duties that and kind of spread it out a bit more evenly. But I think we need the same. We need both.
Okay, and that was the final response for the final question for activities candidates. So a big round of applause for all of them, please.